Welcome back, everybody. Joe Everest, the fence expert. Hey, one of the most common pieces of feedback we get about the Saturday morning live Ask the Expert segment is those things are long, and they're not wrong. They last about 3 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours. Sometimes, a few weeks ago, Caleb and I got into a pretty good discussion about marketing. I think it lasted closer to 4 hours. Nobody's got time to sit through 4 hours of listening to a couple experts talk. I get it. So Jeremy's created a new segment just for you guys called Hot Takes. It's usually a shorter segment of the longer conversation, basically hitting the hot topics, if you will, of that live segment. So without further ado, here comes this week's Hot Take. This is Joe Everest, the fence expert. My family's been perfecting their way of building fence for over 60 years, 3 generations. While there's more than one way to build a fence, I'm here to share with you our way. So Kevin says, just started my business, have a little bit of part-time help. When should you feel comfortable scaling one employee at a time? So my opinion is this is going to vary business to business, right? Every business is different. They're organized differently. They run differently. Kevin, what I would do is as you're selling the jobs, like I said, when I did the stain, me and a helper did the stain jobs, but I priced it as if I had a crew chief and a helper.
Yeah.
Right. So I priced it as if I was just sending a crew out. But I was performing the work. So we saved some money. We made some extra money on those projects. Kevin, I would suggest you do the same. So you've got a little bit of part-time help. Price your jobs, your projects as if he's full-time, as if you just expect him to be there 40 hours a week, whatever you pay him, that sort of thing. And go from there and then bring him on full time.
Yeah. There's never been a better time in the world economy that you can do that.
Yeah.
There have been times where you literally, it'd be really hard to add that on to your bid. Now it's not so much.
Sure.
Now you've got the opportunity to run a business like a business, even if you're just starting out. And so if I had to go back, I would have started my business differently. I would have never learned to stain if I had to go back. And I know that's hard. That's crazy to say that, but I've not stained a fence in a couple of years other than just coming out on a job site and spraying a couple of panels or something like that.
Yeah.
And our business has grown more in the time where I wasn't holding the stain one than it has when I did have it. And so if you could start off by working on the business and putting people in place to do what they've got to do, you could do it. And here's the thing, like I said, now there's never been a time that you could pay, you can charge enough money to pay people a good wage.
Yeah.
You can do it now. You can do that.
Yep.
And so if you're running my plan, Sean King's plan, Tom Reaver's plan, your plan, if you're running a 50% margin, including materials and all your labor costs in there, then you can do it from day one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. You can do it from day one, and you can hire part-time help, but pay them a full-time price until it's full-time. And you could literally be 5 years ahead of most contractors.
I agreed. So Kevin, I guess one question I would ask is, so you just started a business. What type of business is it? Right. So if it's a fencing business, when guys are just getting started, in between larger jobs are taking on repair work. I'm here to tell you, for fencing, there is no better profit margin than repair work.
Yep.
Period. End of story. It's not even close. The problem is it's repair work, right? So there are smaller projects. It's $750 to $1,000 a time, but you've got to do 4 of those in a day to match what you could do on a larger install.
Revenue wise.
Correct. Sorry. Revenue wise.
But $1,000 project, you have $112 worth of material.
Yeah.
So your gross profit margin on repairs is through the roof.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So if you're a fencing business, absolutely. And I was going to say, go hunt for repair projects. You don't have to hunt for them. I think a Facebook post in one of your we have in our area in Springfield, Missouri, we've got Welcome to Springfield. We've got I Love Republic. We've got Welcome to Marshfield. We got all these little community Facebook groups.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is create a post in each one of those that says, "Hey, my name's Kevin. I'm a fence guy. I do fence work. I also do repair work. Do you have one or two posts that need replaced? Do you have a gate that doesn't close or open correctly? I'd love to come take a look at it." And that's it. You don't have to go hunt from the work. From that day forward, that work will come find you.
Oh yeah.
Because most fence companies are turning away repair work.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's easier for me to send one crew to one job per day. Mm-hmm. Rather than the logistics of trying to route them to 4 different repairs, make sure they got the material for all of them. That being said, we just bought a truck, and it's one of these Isuzu NPRs. Have you seen those things? I'm sure you have, but so for those that haven't seen them, they're basically the front cab sits over the front axle. It's a boxy cab, and then a 16-foot deck on the back of it. Truck with a 16-foot bed, essentially. And that's going to be our material delivery and repair truck.
Man, you're talking good.
Well, it's one of these things. Like, I always struggle to take my own advice sometimes. Yeah. Who was it? I think it was Sean and I were talking with some fence guys on here probably 6 months ago. And I gave them the same advice. I'm like, guys, you need to have a repair guy. And it's probably the guy that's been with you forever, that is aging off of an installation crew, right? But he still knows everything there is to know about fence. How do you take care of that guy? I think he's your repair guy.
Can I tell you a story about that guy?
Yes, sir.
So first of all, I'm looking for a repair guy. Rio Grande. Everybody's heard of Rio Grande Fence Company in Nashville. They've won Fence Contractor of the Year forever. So there's a guy I know who worked for Rio Grande since the 60s, since they started way back in the day, and or maybe the early 70s, maybe 1972 or something like that he started. And he's an old man now. And so he retired and started doing a few little repairs here and there. And Rio Grande called him up and said, "Hey, we don't want any repairs. Do you think you'd like to have them?" And so this guy says, "Sure, I'll take them." So this guy, he's like 100 years old now, and he's got another couple buddies that are 100 years old each. And for the last 20 years, he said he's made more money. His average day looks like this. He gets up, he goes to the local corner place, they drink coffee. When they get done drinking coffee, they go repair 1 or 2 little things, and then by 12 o'clock, they go home. And I think 5 years ago, he was making like $1,500 a week cash. Everybody would pay him with cash. So he was clearing $1,500 a week, and he was paying his helpers way too much money. And he just was loving life, and not even working hard, not breaking a sweat. He'd go out and change a gate hinge, but that's the guy you're looking for, a guy who's been on a fence crew for 20 or 30 years. He's a little tired. He's a little wore out. Put him in a truck and take really good care of him and let him go do your repairs.
Well, so here's how I think it's going to look here. And I'm going to say this, a lot of times the way things end up looking are different than how I think they're going to look. Mm-hmm. But I think this guy gets elevated to a field supervisor, which means he oversees 2, 3, 4 crews, right? So he gets them started in the morning. So 4 is a bit much. 2 or 3 crews, gets them started in the morning, verifies their layout and all this stuff, sets them on their way, and then does a couple repairs during the day. Nothing crazy, enough to keep him busy, because in the afternoon, he's going to go back around, just double check everything got done that day, make sure job sites are clean, talk to the customer, that sort of thing.
And he needs a helper, I would say.
What's that?
I would say he needs a helper.
Probably. Yeah.
Carrying bags of concrete, pulling posts.
Exactly. For the big, hairy, ugly stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But he's the kind of guy who can take a 12-year-old kid and turn him into a great helper. So
yes. If they got to have some thick skin with this guy, because he was a drill sergeant in a former life. I am convinced of it. But the guys that make it on his crew really make it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he puts them through the fire, but but if they come out on the other side, they're good as gold.
They know how to hold a flashlight when they're done. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Absolutely. But yeah, that's what I think it looks like. So Kevin goes on to say, it's a fence business. Great advice. So Kevin, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this question in terms of a fence company, which I think we probably already covered it. But one thing I'll say, one thing I've learned, and this could be about me. I don't know if this is like a whole industry thing, but by the time I'm to the point of asking that question, the answer is yesterday, right? So when should you feel comfortable scaling? If you're asking that question, the day was yesterday, right? So to whether it's to bring this guy on full time, like we said, charge as if he's full time, and then if he's still part time, you pay him super well so he doesn't go anywhere, right? Right now, that is a major concern because in this, I'm sure you guys are seeing it in whatever markets you're in right now, but like there's companies that are paying significant sign-on bonuses, several $1,000s to start work with them, right? So there's one place they call it a double sign-on bonus. So $1,000 the day you start, and then $1,000 90 days later. So you could get $2,000 in 3 months on top of your normal wages. So that is a very real conversation that's going on here, is that we need to make sure our team is happy. We need to make sure our team is fully compensated in a way that makes sense for them. Right. So some people, we've got a few here who are not monetarily driven. Right. They need to pay their bills, period. Like they will not work for free, but compensation looks different to them. You know what I mean? So it's, it can just be, it's different things for different people, but figure out what motivates your people and pay them accordingly, or just compensate them accordingly. So it's not always pay. Compensation can look like tickets to the Chiefs game. A couple tickets to the Chiefs game with a Friday off for a Saturday game. Get up there, get comfortable, get set up. It's a Saturday morning game, whatever it is. But compensate that part-time guy as if he's a full-time. Charge your projects accordingly as if he was a full-time. And the day you've got enough work, or probably the day before you got enough work, you bring him on full-time. Right? So one employee at a time. I mean, we're just starting out. Yes. One employee at a time. But as you scale, as you grow larger, that number grows larger too.
Well, and there's something to be said too there's some guys who are pretty tenacious. For me, I was a stain guy. I wanted to start painting fences because we have a lot of black fences that are painted in my area. They're not going to stain them. They want them painted black.
Yeah.
So I started advertising, for doing my free advertising and anything I could do to get the word out. And I called the best fence painting guy in Kentucky, and who'd been doing it for 30 years. And he basically put me through a PhD of fence painting, all the do's and don'ts, all the mistakes he made, all the pricing things, all the equipment, all the best practices. And I went and did my first job that I closed, and it was a significantly large job. And I hired people right there. And so if you're in a market or have the ability to go after some pretty large projects and you're bidding your margins right, you may have the ability to get a kickstart with a project like that and go to the races. And if you do that and you hire people, you've got to be in a position to work on the business, because now you've got to go get more work. And if you get that kickstart, you can roll.
Yeah, that's the big caveat there, is that you have to be able to be in the office. Whether the office is your dining room table or a standalone office.
Yeah.
You have to be ready to be the guy that's the office guy.
For me, it was the truck. And so what I did, and a lot of guys asked me how to make that transition from field to office. And what I would do is I would roll out to the job site, get them going. I'd jump in the truck, handle my business. Now I'll go around the neighborhood. Who else needs our services? Knock on doors, put out things, come check on the guys a few minutes later. Get back on the phone, call people, just make friends in high places, do everything I had to do. When it was lunchtime, I even bring them lunch, and I'd say, hey, give me a spray gun. You guys go eat. And I'll take off, and we'll eat lunch in shifts. When the lunch is completely over, I get back in my truck and do my thing again. And that was how I did it. And so I turned a job where I would have normally been there working all day. Well, instead, I've got a full day of marketing, advertising, relationship building, coaching, and everything for my team. So I wind up with guys who are better at the end of the job because I was there and told them what I wanted. Instead of showing them, I let them do it and then figure out how to fix it. And I had 5 leads from the neighborhood all in the same amount of time. So that's what I did, and it worked well for me.
I wish I remember who this has been several years ago. I met a guy at Fence Tech, at one of the Fence Techs. So he ran his business out of what he called a mobile command center, which was a Sprinter van that had in the back, it had a desk and a chair, right? And the chair was bungeed to the desk when he was moving. But he's like, I don't have an office. My van is my office. So I'll put it in front of a customer's house so that if my crew has a question, just exactly like what you're saying, he can be on site to lend a hand if needed, but he can also be taken care of. He can be in the back of his van at his desk, whether it's writing out bids, whether it's entering stuff in his laptop for bills or whatever. Mobile. I thought that was genius, having a mobile command center.
You know, when people who wear bifocals, you see them, they look down so they can look through the top of the glass. That was me. I was constantly working on the computer or whatever, and every once in a while I'd look down, look out the windshield. Yep, they're on task. And that was it, man. That's a great way. And it's actually for the guy who likes to be in the field, who doesn't want to be in the office. It's a good way to keep your sanity. You're moving, you're running and gunning, and you get to feel like you're in the field. But at the same, and when you go out there and your guys look at you and you say, hey, go sell something, then you know you're doing the right thing. You know?
So a comment similar to that came up. Where was it? I don't know. Somewhere was like, listen, when I'm not in the office, my office is more productive. You know, when I go out, it seems like when I go on vacation, things clicks, things are just smoother. And my response was, well, it sounds like you're getting in your way. You're getting in your team's way. If you're more productive when you're gone, then you need to figure out how to be gone more or something. Or you just need to take that as a sign that you're interfering with your team. You need to find somewhere else to be. And whether that's maybe you jump back on the sales truck as a second salesman, or whatever it is. In this instance, I think he is his problem. Or I told him, if you can afford to, take more vacations, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so Kevin, one guy at a time, or one employee at a time, is probably the right answer for the first little bit. So who was it? Was it Sean that had a recent post that was basic? Or no, it was Mark Olson, successful contractor, that said runaway growth is dangerous. Growth is positive. Runaway growth is dangerous, right? So keep that in mind. And I say that to say, one employee at a time lets you keep an eye on your overhead, right? Keep an eye on your payroll expense, that sort of thing. So I hope that helped, Kevin. If you got any more questions, let me know. Or drop in the comments below, because this is the stuff that Caleb and I enjoy, right? Answering these things.
Like you said, runaway growth. What that means is cash flow can cover a lot of sins in your business. And we all saw this back in 08 and 09, where you had all these guys building houses that had like a brand new Dodge diesel work truck, and then a brand new jacked up Dodge diesel going out truck. And then they had a ski boat, and they had an RV. They had 6 jet skis and a Harley Davidson, and they've been in business for 2 years. And they were just living on that cash flow, just going crazy. The cash flow stopped. And they were back in a 1997 dually that they started out in. And you just got to be careful of that. Just make sure, if you're doing this, watch those sins, learn how to run it the right way, so that if hard times ever do come up, you're in a good place.
Well, and I'll say this too, because Kevin's just starting out. And if this means like within the last several months, winter, depending on where you are, I guess, winter time comes every single year. Right. And so all throughout the summer. Like right now, to Caleb's point, cash flow is good right now. Money's coming in. We got more money coming in than's going out. That's the ideal scenario. We're squirreling away a percentage of that. Every
we're already
deposit.
thinking about it.
What's that?
Yeah, in July, I'm already looking at the wintertime. Yeah,
yes.
I'm already thinking about it and looking at it.
Yep. What is our payroll expense? What will our payroll look like this wintertime? Squirrel it away. What's our overhead right now? What will our overhead be in the wintertime? Squirrel that away. Because the winter comes every year, right? And we're typically slower in the winter than we are in the summer. And cash flow is not great in the wintertime because think about it from the customer's point of view. Now, technically, our contract says this thing's due in 15 days. 16 days, you get finance charges. 30 days, you're getting a letter, right? So, but if I'm the customer and things are tight and it's 2 weeks before Christmas, do you think the fence guy's getting paid or do you think we're going Christmas shopping?
Yeah.
I bet you're going Christmas shopping, right? So our receivables stretch out in November and December. Well, and January, because I think customers put it on credit cards and then they're paying credit cards in January. But through the wintertime, the receivables spread out a bit, right? Time to payment stretches. You just got to think about that. So, like I said, to Caleb's point, cash flow is good right now. Squirrel it away because wintertime is coming for sure. All right, guys, that concludes this week's hot take. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you like the format? Do you not like the format? Let me know in the comments below. We're still figuring this out, and we could use your help. But for now, I'm Joe Everest, the fence expert, reminding you that good fences make good neighbors. And I'll see you next time.